Welcome, everyone. It's Thursday. Woo! We're almost there. Where's that? I can sleep in. And I don't have to drive anywhere just yet. But you know how it is. I trust that you slept well and you're refreshed this morning. I'm refreshed, but just not quite awake all that way far enough yet. I'm like, I just want to lay down a little bit more. But here we are nonetheless. Today, we're talking about visualization versus rehearsal. I was talking to a young man yesterday. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing person he is. And that's how we landed on this topic, right? Because as I was talking to him, I just said these two words. I said, well, there is a difference between visualization and rehearsal. And we need to know the difference in order to make our lives a lot easier. So when you hear visualize, it usually means to see something happening. Okay? And this is what it usually means to see something occurring. And it's usually, in your mind's eye. But rehearsal tells you that you are the one who's supposed to be doing the thing in your mind's eye. That's the difference between the two. In order for something to take on the tones of reality, in order for something to feel real to you, you've got to do it over and over and over again, which means you rehearse, you practice. I like the word rehearsal because it puts it to me in perspective. When we rehearse, there's a role that we're practicing, there's a role that we're learning, and that role, we have to embody that role to make it real. That is rehearsal. If you're going to the play and you're starring in the play, or you've got a role, you got a part to play in the play, you rehearse your lines, which means you're the one practicing over and over and over until it feels so real to you that you don't have to look at your lines anymore, because you've not only do you have your lines memorized, but now you're beginning to feel the emotion that your lines invoke within you. That is rehearsal. Visualizing, on the other hand, uh, you're going to see something happening. You may watch somebody do it because you're trying to see what's happening, right? Visualizing, you're watching something happen. But there's a component missing, I think, in visualization and the way we interpret visualization. Because if I tell you to visualize, you may see somebody else doing it. But if I tell you to rehearse, you will do it. Because then you feel and know in yourself, man, I got to prepare for this role. And if you have to prepare for the role, you will be the one playing it. So you're not going to watch somebody else be doing it. And Neville says this is the difference between success and quote unquote failure when you're practicing the principles deliberately. He said if you watch somebody else do it, well, then you'll be watching somebody else do it when it shows up. But if you embody the role, you will experience it. So this is why I said yesterday in that conversation, practice rehearsing, not visualization. They mean something separate in the mind's eye. As we do them and interpret those two words, they mean something different to us. So why those two words? Why are we talking about visualization and rehearsal? Because in the law of attraction community, everybody's big on raise your vibration, visualize. Everybody's big on that. But not a lot of people truly comprehend what it means. Now, when you are having a conversation in your mind's eye, like, you're driving to work and you're having this conversation with your supervisor or your boss, or you're talking to somebody around the water cooler, that's all in your mind's eye. What are you doing? You are hearing what they say to you, and you are rehearsing what you are going to say back to them. For instance, if you're having an argument, oh my God, who do you think you are? You can't talk to me this way. Do you know who I am? You're going to say all these things in your mind's eye because you want to find the right thing to say to that person to just shut them up, you know? So you want to say the right thing. And so what do? You practice saying a whole bunch of things until one of them captures you. You say, oh, that's exactly what I'm going to say to this cow. That's what we say to ourselves. Sometimes we use less than savory speech. Sometimes we use other words less helpful. Sometimes we say other words, but if you pay attention, you'll recognize what you're doing. When you're having this conversation, you are fully interacting with them in your mind's eye. So you have embodied it because you're the one saying these words and rehearsing these words. And you're driving and you're talking out loud. There's nobody in the car with you, but you're talking out loud and you're cussing them out. You are rehearsing. And you are so caught up in the role, but you are rehearsing. Every day we rehearse. You want to go to the doctor. Some of us write notes to ask. Some of us get there. We don't know what we're quite going to ask yet. And some of us, in our mind's eye, say, okay, you know, we got two ways of doing things. But remember, one of these ways creates and the other way perpetuates, right? So you're planning out going to the doctor in your mind's eye, and you are going to say, yeah, well, doc, you know, and he's going to say, well, did you do this? What'd you do? That doesn't happen. That's all in your mind. Because, you know, previously, your doctor never really listened to you anyway. You know how they are. They don't even touch you anymore. You say, yeah, and next, next. Every visit is one complaint only. You can only talk to me about one thing. So that's our memory. And from that memory, we perpetuate the conversation and our rehearsal of not being heard and having to argue with the doctor. See? Perpetuate. But now in your mind's eye, if you say, look, I'm a little bit more confident. When I go to the doctor, I would say, look, this is what's happening to me. And if he interrupts me, I'm going to do this. And if he still interrupts me, I'm going to do that. And if he pisses me off, I'm going to get up and I'm going to walk out. You just rehearsed exactly what you were going to do when you met your doctor. What do you think you're more likely to do when you get there? You are more likely to do the thing that you have rehearsed versus just remembering what he's always done and what he's always said. And so you're just prepared for what he's always going to say. So when you rehearse, you're creating a new way you want to be. When you remember, you are perpetuating the memory. So, which is the visualization part. You're just seeing it. I don't want you to see it. I want you to be it, to embody it. This is why to recognize the difference between visualizing something is just there's a red ball. I'm thinking of a red ball, but there's also an object on that ball, a decoration. I want you to see in your mind's eye that red ball. You're visualizing the red ball. You can see the red ball. But now there's a red ball. You're holding it in your hand. And you realize when you squeeze it, it doesn't really give a lot. It's tight. It's tense when you squeeze it a little bit. See that girl you don't like? She walking by. Throw it. Aim for her legs. Throw the ball. And something rises up within you. And you say, yeah, I don't like her. And if I see her, man, I'm going to throw the ball like this. You're practicing how you're going to throw the ball. You've become the bully. You've become the tyrant. Because I told you to attack her, didn't I? So you don't attack somebody you love. So that's why I said you don't like her, right? So you began to rehearse in your mind's eye how you would throw this ball, how you say, oh, my bad, I didn't see you. You rehearse it. You just embodied it. So the thing that we embody is the thing we feel. And because we feel it, we'll do it. That's the natural progression of things. So today, as we go forth into the world, watch yourself. Pay attention to where you visualize and pay attention to where you and when you rehearse. And as you pay attention to whether you visualize or you rehearse, which one do you do? Just observe. You're gonna catch it. I mean, you're gonna catch yourself when you're doing it. Why will you catch yourself? Because I've given you a suggestion. And if it is within you, you will follow the suggestion. If it is not anything that you're like, please, I don't have time for that, you won't do it. As within, so without. If there is something within you that says, I want to test this out, you'll test it out because that is within you to do. There's a curiosity within you to fulfill. So you'll do it. But if it is not within you and you just don't care because that doesn't bother you, whatever. C'est la vie. Life is life, man. It happens. Just go with it. Roll with the punches. Well, then you're not going to practice it. You're not going to test it out for yourself because you don't have the inclination to do so. This is how we end up taking suggestions or not taking suggestions. Right? No one can suggest to you something that is not within you to do already. Ponder that. So today, my beautiful friends, right? The next time you want to build a vision board, know where you're building that vision board from. Are you building it because you're just looking at the pictures, yeah, I want that kind of life, and this one represents the life I want, and that one represents the life I want. Do you want to build your vision board like that? Or do you want to build your vision board with and let me tell you, because you touch a picture, you say, girl, let me tell you, I knew what kind of relationship I wanted, because you're having a conversation with someone as you are building, as you're showing them your vision board. It's like you're giving somebody a tour because they're asking you, well, I want to do these things, but I don't even know where to begin. Like, you've done a vision board and you say it's real successful. What did you do? And you say, well, look, here's how I chose my picture. See this one here with the car? That was my favorite car. And I knew that's what I wanted. So what are you doing? You're rehearsing, telling the person how you built your vision board versus I'm just going to put this vision board together. I want that car. I want this. And you just sit there and you cut out pictures. But if when you are building your vision board, you are telling somebody why you chose this, how you feel about it, you're rehearsing in order to do what? Answer somebody when they ask you about the vision board and your success with it. So as you are building the vision board, you're using the vision board to imply that you are successful, that you have accomplished everything on the vision board. Can you spot the difference with what I just said between visualization and rehearsal? So this is what it means when you're creating your new experiences. You don't visualize them, you rehearse them. Because now you know who you would be talking to. You know who would have something to say. Neville says, listen, you can overhear. You see those people that don't like you? You can overhear them talking about you. Oh, look at, because you can hear them. So what do you want to say back to them when you start hearing them whispering your name and talking about you? Oh my God, look at Susie. Ever since she came with all that money, she all of this, she all of that. She don't even speak. She's so uppity now. You walk by, what you gonna hear? What's gonna happen to you when you walk by? And you hear them saying your name. And they won't pretend they weren't talking about you. What you gonna do? You gonna pop your collar when you walk by? You gonna look them in the eye, square in their face as you walk by to let them know I heard you. But what you gonna do about it? You can't stop my success. You can only talk about me. But now you got a real reason to talk. You can walk by and say, hey, I'm a Bonnie rate your ass. I'm going to give you something to talk about. But either way, You are rehearsing how you're going to be witty with your comeback because they are jealous of your what? Success. So what are you doing? You are rehearsing your success because you know who doesn't like you, but you also know who would celebrate with you. You know they'd say, girl, I'm so excited for you. It's about time. I was praying for you. And you can hear yourself and you can feel the hug and you can say, you know what? I appreciate you, man. And you would tell them everything you wanted to say. But what are you going to tell them? Rehearse what words you will say. Because as you rehearse, you are telling yourself, holy cow, I am successful. And this conversation proves it. Or else, why would you rehearse? And the more you rehearse, the more real it becomes. Why is it becoming real to you? It is becoming real to you because as we rehearse, we set down a neurological pathway in our brain. You're building a memory in your brain. You're building a new pathway in your brain for your behavior to walk down. I'm telling you, if you go talk to Lawrence Fishburne right now and you say to him, what's he doing? And he'll go to you, he's beginning to believe. He's going to start telling you his lines and he will go right into being not, don't just think you are. Know you are. You think that's air you're breathing now. He will pull that out. But think about it. I just pulled it out because it's been set down in my neurological pathway. Why? Because I've practiced those lines over and over and over again. So that now I don't even need to have the movie on. I know what to say and I know when to do it. So when you rehearse, you set down a neurological pathway. And the more you do it, the less you fumble over your words. Why? Because now you've memorized your role. And when you memorize the role, it is easier to embody because now you're not busy trying to figure out the words or remember the words. So you can get right in the pocket and become Morpheus. You can become Trinity. Trinity, a little help, right? Or do you know how to fly that thing? And she says, not yet. I know everything about you. They are watching you, Neo. So you see what I'm trying to tell you when you rehearse? When you rehearse, you are laying down that neurological pathway. And the more you lay down the neurological pathway and it begins to set itself, that is when it becomes natural to you. That means you can do it. You can do it without having to think about it. You just do it. Like the back of your hand. You can rehearse your lines and fully embody them. Which means what now? It shows up in the outside world for you to actually do it. Neville says it takes on the tones of reality. And it will take on the tones of reality because you're going to feel it inside your body. When the shift happens, you're going to feel it. Because you'll be able to feel, you can say, oh, I know my lines. And as soon as you hear action, and what does that come in the form of? That comes in the form of you coming across the person you've been having this conversation with over and over and over in your head that you've been rehearsing. Right? That's what you do. That is what you do. You rehearse the life you want to have, which means there's an attitude you have to embody. So begin to rehearse that attitude. And the more you rehearse that attitude that you are rehearsing has an implication in the outside world. It matches a particular thing in the outside world. So that's why when you choose what you're going to rehearse, choose what implies your success. Choose what says, yep, you got it. Yeah, you did it. Because that's why you practice it, because it implies, it says, yes, I've done this. Like the woman a couple nights back in the story. Remember when she was swinging on the swing? and she fell as a little girl and injured herself, the fall implied that she still had the back pain. But in her, when she was acting it out and rehearsing on the swing and trying to stick her landing, the moment she stuck the landing, it implied that her back was no longer painful. That's why she was rehearsing to stick the landing. So she practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced until she could stick the landing in her mind's eye. And she even in her mind's eye, hey, ma, come look what I can do. And she felt the excitement in her rehearsal. So that when she stuck that landing and she got up a couple days later, the back pain was gone because of what landing upright meant. It implied that she was no longer injured because it was the fall that brought about her pain and suffering in her back for like over 30 years. So the scene that you rehearse is the scene that implies your success. So this is why Neville can say, an assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. Your assumption of your success, as you rehearse it over and over and over, is set down in your neurological pathway and becomes fact because you persistently rehearse that one scene. That's what that sentence means. An assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. So today, my beautiful friends, there's a role that you want to play. Every time I say role, I want to go, oh, and the role is called up yonder. Oh, over there. That's how Homer Simpson sings it. But every time I say role, that's what goes through my head for some reason. I don't know. But anywho, when you rehearse that, and this is why Neville says, make it just one thing. You know how you go, "Oh," he says, isn't it wonderful? There's that, and that's all you say. He goes, but what if you don't see it? He goes, then if you know that you have accepted something, then you just say thank you. So rehearse how you will say thank you. How do you want to say thank you? How do you want to say, how do you want to feel when you say thank you? Well, then rehearse the thank you, because when you rehearse the thank you, it implies, I am that. I am. It means you've done it. You've accomplished the task that you set out to do because you rehearse the way in which you want to say thank you. So it takes you out of your head where you just hear the words or say the words over and over and over and over, robotically affirming. Don't robotically affirm. Rehearse. How do you want to say, I love you to your special companion? How do you want to say, I love you? How do you want to look in their eyes? Perhaps you're like extreme and you say, more than words, da, 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 then you wouldn't have to say that you love me, 'cause I'll already know. You know, what do you want to do? You want to use words? What if you couldn't say I love you? How would you convey? So rehearse that. Don't think about what the man or the woman looks like. Rehearse how you want to convey your gratitude for them being in your life. Rehearse how you want to feel about your ideal, beautiful relationship. Rehearse how you want to say to your friends, I know, right? Isn't he like totally dreamy? I know. My heart like totally goes pitter patter every time I think of him. And you hear them go, oh, girl, please, that'll wear off soon enough. Because then it implies that your girlfriends know you got a good man. And you know how us girls can be sometimes. Oh, please. Rehearse your beautiful relationship. And you pick one scene, just one, because it is simpler to focus upon one thing than it is many things. So that's why Neville says, feel blissful. Because if you were blissful, you wouldn't be in pain, because there's no bliss with pain, is there? You wouldn't be blissful if you was broke. You wouldn't be blissful if you was lonely. So he says you choose and you rehearse this thing, right? Choose and rehearse this thing, and that's what you do. That is what you do. You rehearse how you want to behave instead of just thinking about it or thinking of it. Oh no, remember what we learned. Thinking from, which is your rehearsal. So thinking from the wish fulfilled, enacting the wish fulfilled, or you do what? The end. Think from the end, enact the end, and it creates reality. So there's that little word, enact it, rehearse it, act it out. And the more you act it out, the more familiar you become with it, the more you begin to believe it. And that's when you will know. That's when you will know when something has taken root within you. And when it's just second nature to you. You can just do it. See, and when it becomes that, that's when you know it's on the outside. Because that is your cue. You see, you're the barometer. When what you are rehearsing has taken root within your mind's eye, in your brain, along that neurological pathway, you will feel the shift from, because you will move from where you were in one stage, and now you've moved into the stage of knowing. Well, I know my role. I know my role. Because you will feel it when it clicks over. It really is, it's something physiological. You feel it when it clicks over. You feel it when you've made a particular decision. You feel it when you've made up your mind. You literally feel it in your body. So if you pay attention as you are rehearsing, when you get so caught up in your rehearsal of your whatever it is that you say you want to become, when you begin to rehearse that over and over again, there will come a point where you feel, oh, wow. And it stops becoming a rehearsal. You don't have to rehearse anymore because you know the line so well. You're just acting it out now. You will feel it in your bosom when it happens. Right? So this beautiful Thursday, as we go forth into the world, practice, aka rehearse. That's why I keep telling you, you may not have had a particular experience, right? You've got no memory to draw from, which is a good thing, because now you can get into the mind's eye and rehearse what you want to do in that particular instance. Because remember, you draw from the memory, you reenact it, you redo it all the time. But when you become imaginative, meaning you want to rehearse something new, and in both situations, now they both become memories. One is a memory of the past that you've experienced. And the new one, based upon your rehearsal, now becomes a memory of what you wanted to experience deliberately instead of repeating the old. So both of them are now memories based upon how many times they've been rehearsed. They're both memories now. Oh, yes, they are. They're both memories because you set it down in your neurological pathway. So it is a memory now. But you'll notice it's not a memory that leads you. It is a memory that you created to move through. So one, you are being pulled around by it, and the other, you are leading because you put it there deliberately. So when we rehearse, we make things deliberate. When we remember, no surprises. I trust it makes sense. So the next time you want to meditate and you are in your quiet place, you're in your closet, and you close the door against all the senses, and you're in there. Now begin to rehearse in your mind's eye the starring role of this situation you've got going on. Who you going to tell first about that brand new job? Hmm? Or maybe you wouldn't tell anybody, but maybe you would feel good paying your bills. Well, how would that feel to you? Rehearse. Rehearse how it would feel to just prop down on the couch and go, well, doggone, I did it. And I got money left over. Aw, sookie, sookie, now let me invest. Begin to rehearse who you're going to talk to about, man, what should I go with Robin Hood? Should I invest with Well Simple? Because as you talk about and you begin to rehearse where you want to invest, what does it imply? It implies I got money. My money don't jiggle jiggle, it folds. That's what it implies. That's why you'd be investing. So talk to the broker, talk to whoever, because now you're getting the advice on how to invest. So what you're rehearsing with that investment implies that you are financially well off, that you invest. You hear what I'm saying to you? So rehearse. It doesn't matter what situation it is. You know, we have the top however many five. There's family, relationships, money, career, health, right? Those are the five things that we tend to usually do. And we all encounter them. We all encounter them. So rehearse, 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 and know exactly what is happening to you when you rehearse. Because some people say, yeah, but I don't believe in it. I don't want you to believe in it. I want you to know what is happening. When you rehearse, you set down a neurological pathway. And from that neurological pathway, you live your life. That is cold, hard fact. You put on a pair of shoes where you got to tie your laces. That is a neurological pathway. And you tie your laces in the exact same way every time. That is a neurological pathway. So you don't have to believe in it. You just have to rehearse and know that if I set down a pathway in my brain, I have to live by it. So if I set down this rehearsal of a wealthy, healthy lifestyle, well, then I have to live it because I'm setting down the pathway for me to follow. That's what your rehearsal is doing. So when you say, I don't know if I can believe it, Angela, that seems so far-fetched. You don't have to. You bring the far-fetched right down from the heavens into your bosom. Why? Through the light and power of understanding. That's how you do it. When you rehearse what you're going to do, how you're going to behave, how you're going to walk, how you're going to talk, when you rehearse that, those things that you are rehearsing imply your success. So when you set down that neurological pathway inside your brain, it is the same neurological pathway you have to set down to learn how to type. The same neurological pathway you have to set down to know how to do data entry. It is the same neurological pathway you had to set down to drive. You don't get in the car and remember how to drive every day. Lord knows some of us need to, but that's another day. You get in the car, and the moment you turn the ignition, whether you drive stick shift or automatic, gas or electric, you have rehearsed how to drive. So what do you do when you get in the car? It takes on the tones of reality and you drive in the fashion that you have rehearsed. So when I tell you, get into your mind's eye and rehearse your relationship. You notice how you don't get caught up now trying to figure out when it's going to show up? You can, I don't know if you can go back and find the one spot when you were driving where you finally became comfortable on the road, where the nervousness was gone and you became confident. You see what I'm saying? When all your training was done at work and you were just tossed out into the deep end and you knew you could do it. Because every day you practiced, you rehearsed. So you set down the neurological pathway. So that now when you go to work, You're just pulling it up from where? Where you laid it down. So you have to live out what is inside. So the next time you come upon a situation and you say, well, I don't know if it's possible to change, rehearse how it would be different in your life. What would you be doing that would be different? Rehearse it, because now it's not so big, is it? It's not so overwhelming, is it? It is not. It has now become manageable because you understand. In other words, now you comprehend and you've demystified what you're doing. And let me tell you something. Your faith and your confidence has grown as a result of you rehearsing. So just toss all that madness out the window, talking about, I don't know, I gotta do my states akin to sleep. I gotta do this. I gotta do the lullaby method. All he was trying to tell you to do was to lay down the neurological pathway in your brain. And this is why he said takes on the tones of reality. But you get lost in his poeticism, if that is a word. You get lost a little bit in his verbosity, because he really was a great linguist, wasn't he? He just spoke so eloquently. But because he spoke so eloquently, sometimes it's a little challenging to truly grasp. But that's all right. We understand it now. So when you leave this space today and you go out into the world, who are you going to call? Hmm? I know you did it because I did it. Right? Who are you going to call? You're going to go within. So next time you hear revise the situation, you wouldn't come to me and ask me if you could change the past. You wouldn't come to me and ask me, Angela, can we change the past? You would get inside your mind's eye and say, oh, look, that woman practiced jumping off that swing over and 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 over until she stuck that landing. And now in the present, she doesn't have that back pain anymore that the doctors couldn't figure out. So did she change the past? All she did was set down in her neurological pathways the way she wanted to be. And so you wouldn't get caught up in semantics talking about whatever it is you're talking about. And so that when you go into your time of meditation, you know why you're there and you are excited to do it. And here's the thing, and I will close here. There are two ways to set down that neurological pathway. One way is repetition, to rehearse over and over and over again. But as you rehearse over and over and over again, the emotion, which is the second part, now leaves that hard and fast impression. It lays down the neurological pathway like that. It left an impression upon you, so you'll never forget it. That's what it did. It's in your mind now as that neurological pathway, so you won't forget it. So you see, is it really two ways or is it just one? It's just one. You repeat it and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it until such time you feel so convicted by it, you leave the impression. So that's why he tells you to catch the mood, to catch the mood of what it is you're rehearsing. And when you catch the mood of what you are rehearsing, you think you're going to look at your clock to see how long you've been in meditation? Nope. You will have no concept of time, because you know why you're in there and you feel the thrill and the excitement of doing what you're doing in your rehearsal, that you have no concept of time. None. And when your harvest comes in for you to reap it, you'll be like, oh, hot diggity dog, that's exactly what I rehearsed. So you won't get Chicken this morning because he's still upstairs. But let me tell you something, he was crowing already at 4:11. But you know what? I am mad at him. 4:11. I'm like, oh. Yeah, he was singing real early. So I don't know if you'll get bird song, but you'll get the chime though. And as you hear the chime this morning, what scene? Who do you want to become? What scene would you be doing? What thing would you be doing in reality if you became that person. Can you see that one thing that you'd be doing? Oh, well, then rehearse that one thing. So, what does it mean? He says to experience in imagination what you would be doing in reality if you were the man or the woman you wanted to be. That is step two. And step three, ooh, it gonna make you feel a certain kind of way, make you feel all funny. And you're excited and you feel the thrill. And that's what keeps you rehearsing because you know what you're doing when you rehearse. You're not being idle when you rehearse. Oh no, you are deliberately what? And the what you send out into the world, my words do not return unto me void. You know that now. You know it. You're not believing it. You're not hoping for it. You know it now. So that's what keeps you focused in your rehearsal. The knowing of what you're doing and the inevitability of your rehearsal. You hear that, Mr. Anderson? That is the sound of inevitability. Listen, let me go get this chime. Oh, but wait a minute. There's a lot of people here today. Well, hi to you too, the better man. Hey, Cyber. Brandon, I had to realize my own faults though, and where I'd been, where you'd been a jerk. Hey, don't judge yourself. Just recognize the behavior that you've practiced or rehearsed, and then decide to practice another one. See? Easy. Ah, there you go. Exactly, Brandon. We changed. And that's exactly it. So when Neville was saying, if you hear them talking bad about you, he's saying use everything to stimulate what you're going to rehearse. Use everything, the good, the bad, and the indifferent, and bend it to your will. So yeah, I hear you. And that's kudos to you for putting a lot of practice and changing a coworker. Listen, I'm doing the same thing. Every day it gets better. Oh, yes, it does. Shea Butter. Hey, Gary. I see you all. Oh, Phoenix. Hello. I see you here on YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. Miss McQueen, Oracle Treehouse, Miss Miriam, Dawn, hello. Flo Smiles, KZ, Amen, Ray, Asora, Michael. I see you. Hey, honey, hey. Well, Twitter is as Twitter does. But hello, everybody. Now let's get the chime. Now let's get the chime. Begin to select the experience you want to rehearse for. Countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Much love to each and every one of you today. Go forth into this day and rehearse. Rehearse. Isn't that what William Shakespeare said? All the world is a stage and we are merely actors upon it. Well, you want to be the best kind of actor there is, you better rehearse your lines. That's what I'll say. So, Twitter, peace out. Twitter, peace out. Uh, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. Ow, I'll see you tonight. What we're on chapter 13. I don't remember what chapter that is, but it's sure to be a good one. So, as we continue in the law and the promise. Ow. So, I'll see you tonight. YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace.